What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our NFL Week 16 picks. We got Ethan back with us this week as we break down this week's games with only a few weeks left in the season. But before we can do that, we got to talk about last week. And yeah, we didn't have Ethan on the show, but he still had a very solid week, going 11 and 5. Our only two picks last week both went in my favor that we picked different. Obviously, I took Philly and Green Bay. They both won for me. But other than that, we had pretty solid weeks and nothing really stood out except a lot of people actually getting injured last week.
Yeah, a lot of injuries, and I just want to say it's great to be back. Missed last week, but still 11 and 5 a week, and you had a really nice week. So I think we just go ahead and get into this week. It's a big week for the football, and so I'll start with my picks. I got Detroit -6.5 at Chicago on Sunday. Philadelphia -3.5. They're both rolling, so I'm taking them. My Steelers and Ravens under 45. And then other AFC North, Cleveland and Bengals over 46.5. And then my touchdowns are going to be Puka and Mike Evans for a 48-24 odds.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think Puka and Mike Evans are probably locks, the best ones on there. But I'm going with Denver and the Chargers tonight, actually. The over. I think this is going to be one of those AFC West games that is going to be a 34-31 kind of game. I know it's a low total, but it just something seems end of the year. Chargers have a game where, you saw it last year against the Raiders. They gave up 63 points on Thursday Night Football. And I think their defense is due for one of those letdowns, but I think the offense can compete. So I'm going the over there. So McConkey's going to score as well. Pittsburgh +6.5 at Baltimore. I think that's a field goal to a 6 point win, maybe for either team. So I don't think this, I like that half point. Carolina +4 at home versus Arizona. Played some good football last week against the Cowboys in the first half, just kind of lost it in the second half with Brooks going down. And now Chuba's the main man. I think Chuba's going to have a big day. So give me Carolina +4.5. Philly, Washington over. Feels like one of those high scoring games in the NFC East as well, as we've seen in years past. And then Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown with Demont out. And we'll jump to our Sunday picks. Obviously we're taking the Bengals, Falcons, even with Penix starting now over Cousins. Lions without Monty, but this Lions team finds ways to win even with half of their team injured. Then our different pick here on the screen, I am going to go with the Panthers at home. Obviously, just talking highly of them. I think this Panthers team has fight in them, and this wouldn't shock me too much if they win this game at home, just because I know that they're playing for next year and all these guys are young. So they really have nothing to lose at this point in the season.
Yeah. With that being said, though, I do like the Cardinals on the road. They're playing for more, they're playing for the postseason still. They have a chance to even knock out the Commanders, even if they don't win that division. So they still have the fight for the wild card as well. That's why I'm going with them on the road. The Panthers, like you said, they've been playing good ball. They just have not been able to win those games, those really tight games. So I think it's a safe pick to go with the Cardinals here.
And then jumping to our other games on Sunday, Colts, Rams, Bills. I think it's pretty self-explanatory as, Bills should blow out Patriots, Colts should blow out Titans. And then the Rams Jets could be an interesting game, but the Rams have to win that game to keep their playoff hopes alive. And then the battle for the first pick, I think you could say that this game is. I'm going with the Jaguars because I think they have more talent. The Raiders need the first pick to probably draft Shador. And, Mac Jones is possibly playing for a better starting or a starting job next year or even a good backup somewhere. So he's got to put some good film on tape, and I think he will this week against the bad Raiders defense.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm going with the Raiders here, other than they're playing at home and the Jags, they've been just terrible. They've both been terrible all year long. Going with the Raiders here, have a little bit more trust than I just don't like Mac Jones in this spot. I think they're just due for a stinker kind of game. This will be one that I'm not watching, but I do like the Raiders. It's pretty tough to play in Vegas, so I'm just going with my gut here, going with the Raiders.
But we'll jump back to the Thursday game. I'm going with the Chargers here at home. Makes too much sense, I think, after what we've witnessed last few weeks. They're struggling. And if the Chargers don't win this game, I honestly can see them missing the playoffs. Kind of same goes for Denver, though, at the same point. You said they lose this one, they fall to 9-6. And then they get the Bengals, could lose that one. And then Chiefs one more time, could lose that one, finish 9-8. So both these teams pretty much is a playoff game. since the Chargers are
Yeah.
at home and, Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton have coached in many of these games before, it's just whoever can outcoach each other. And I think Harbaugh gets the slight edge here.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and this isn't one of my favorite picks. I think the Broncos could come in here and win this game as well, but I'm going with the Chargers at home. Like you said, I think I trust Harbaugh more than the last few head coaches the last few years for the Chargers. So I think this is their year. They win a big playoff game type game at home, and I think this tonight they do it here. So.
Then on Saturday at 1 o'clock, you get Texans Chiefs, a huge game for playoff seeding for the Texans. Depending on division winner, more than likely they're going to win the South. But I think the Chiefs, the big story is Mahomes here, obviously looking like he's going to play this week after getting a high ankle sprain last week. Now, if they put up 21 real quick, and this is, let's say 31 to 10 heading into the fourth, don't be surprised if he gets benched just because to preserve his health, because, he's not 100%. But I don't think it's going to be that game. I think the Chiefs are going to limp this one out, no pun intended. Probably like a 19 to 17 kind of game.
Yeah, I'm with you here as well. I originally took the Texans when I thought Carson Wentz was going to play. In that case, I do like the Texans slightly. I think it's a tough game either way, and Carson Wentz could get the W for the Chiefs as well. But with Mahomes playing, I think they're just gonna win this type of game, just like how they always win these games defensively, and it'll be a close game. I think they're gonna cover the spread, that 3.5, but I do think it'll be close. But give me the Chiefs here on Sunday night.
And also on Saturday, hopefully you're watching this game along with some college football playoff games. Steelers Ravens. Now you picked a great game record wise to be playing in this prime slot on Saturday. Obviously, this game's pretty much for the AFC North. Let's say Steelers win, more they win the division. Ravens win. Who knows what can happen in these last 2 weeks? So I like chaos. Give me the Ravens at home. They're favored by 6.5, but it's going to be closer than people think. At least Vegas thinks. And Derrick Henry didn't score last week, so I'm sure he's a little ticked off here coming into this game.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about with the Steelers rushing defense. They can stop anybody. You just saw it last week. They minimalized Saquon Barkley, so I think they'll do the same thing with Derrick Henry this week. And I'm going to take them to win. Obviously, I'm taking them to win, but I do see a world where the Ravens can win this game. Obviously, they haven't won the last. I'm not sure exactly how many trips, but they haven't. The Steelers have had their number as of late, and that could all change. And I will say it's hard to beat a team 3 times. So I think if there's a game where the Ravens will win over the Steelers, I'd rather it be this game than in the playoffs.
And then jump into Sunday, Eagles Commanders. I think beginning of the year you probably didn't have this one circled, but it's a huge game for a last ditch effort for the Commanders. They win this one, they still have chance to clinch the NFC East, but it's probably not going to happen. I got the Eagles on the road. Saquon is due for a big game, like you said last week, got shut down. Even though they still won, Eagles are going to look to run the ball more against this Commanders front, and I think they're going to do so fairly easy. So give me the Eagles on the road.
Yeah, I like the Eagles a lot in this one as well. I think they're overvaluing Washington a little bit with the way the Eagles are playing. Just stomping everybody in their way right now. Winners of 9 straight, I believe. And they look to make it 10 here this week. And I think they're going to do it. Jaden Daniels back healthy, which they do have a shot here with Washington, the way that they can play. But I do like the Eagles here, obviously, as I've said.
Then moving to the 4 o'clock games. Vikings, Seahawks. I think this is a huge game for Minnesota as it is Seattle. I know Seattle's fighting for their playoff chances, but Minnesota's still fighting for the number one seed in the NFC. Now, they get the Lions next week, but I think this could be one of those trap games where they're overlooking their opponent, over just looking at that Detroit game, thinking we got to win that game just so we can win the division and get a home game in the playoff, but it's not going to come down to that. They're going to lose this game. Seahawks and Geno Smith is healthy, expected to play. Seahawks are going to win this one, get to 9-6, and really cause chaos in the NFC West.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings here. I think last week really proved to me that they're Sam Darnold, I had a lot of doubts about Sam Darnold and the way that they're playing, but now that they're getting the ball to Justin Jefferson like they showed they could earlier in the year, I do like the Vikings here. I know that I've been picking Seattle and I've been picking against Minnesota, so I'm flip-flopping it here, hoping it works. Minnesota is favored, So that'll help you decide anything. I'm going with the Vikings. I think I've been doubting them too much. And they do say Kenneth Walker is healthy. That does have some impact. But I like the Vikings here in the spot on the road.
And then a game that is pretty much a playoff game for both these 6 and 8 teams. Whoever loses, definitely out of the playoffs. Whoever wins somehow still has a chance to make the playoffs. I like the Dolphins at home. This team has showed life compared to the Niners not having any these last few weeks. Can't score a touchdown last week against the Rams. Awful game. Defense played great, but different offense this week. Lots of speed flying around the ball, and I think the Niners just can't contain that right now. So give me the Dolphins at home.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I think the Niners defense will be able to stop them a little bit. I just don't think, I mean, with the way the Niners offense is played, it's really rough right now. So Miami, they've been finding, Tua's been back and they've been finding a little groove. So both desperate teams, like you said, they're both basically need a win. So I'm taking the Dolphins here, but if the Niners could win this game, that would prove a lot, and that would help them because they're still not out of it, even at 6-8. They still have an outside chance of making it, just like the Dolphins in the same sense. But give me the Dolphins here.
Then moving to the nightcap, Bucks, Cowboys. Same thing for the Cowboys somehow. Still have a chance, but probably won't by the time this game happens. And then the Bucks, they went out, they win the NFC South and the division's theirs. And I think that's a step in that direction after this game. The Bucks are on fire. I think they've won 5 straight, 6 straight. Mike Evans is having an exceptional year in the limited amount of games he's played in. I think he needs like 268 yards and a touchdown to keep pace with what he's done over these, 10 plus seasons he's been in the NFL. So I'm hoping he gets that 1,000 yard mark. And with Diggs out for the year, you could expect a Mike Evans big game here from him and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and especially because Dallas already is prone to giving up big plays, and Baker has just been slinging that rock around. I really hope that happens because I do have Mike Evans. But with Dallas, they could play really good defense and just control that tempo with Rico Dowdle playing the way that he's been playing. He's been quietly rushing over 100 yards the last few games and has really made a possibility of being re-signed next year or going into the future. So that's another thing to watch. But the Tampa Bay does have a good rush defense, and I'm gonna roll with them. You just can't take Dallas. I'm sorry, you just can't take them here.
And then Monday, obviously, you got to go with my pack at home. Win this game, clinch a playoff spot, and favored by 14 points. They might cover that because this Saints team, they've shown some life since they fired Dennis Allen. But going into Lambeau in the cold, where you're a dome stadium, and you don't really have anything to play for, I just don't think it's a good combo right there. And I think the Packers win big here. Jordan Love has a day. Josh Jacobs still setting Packers records.
Yeah, it's a bad recipe for the Saints. I think, it's going to be a winter frenzy. And I think, the day before Christmas Eve, it's going to get really spooky out there for the Saints. And your boys are going to be looking good going into next week.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case as we got after this week, 2 weeks left before the playoffs. So make sure you guys come back next week to see how we did. And obviously, we're picking the biggest games of the week. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.